Welcome to the Mail and Guardian podcast in partnership with Nedbank. I am Kia Ncube, and today we're exploring the world of secular green economy alongside fashion. And why specifically this? Specifically because we know that the fashion industry is being pressured to move toward a more sustainable secular models with the rising costs of textiles, and on top of that, environmental pressures as well. Consumers are now demanding more eco-friendly products, and with that being said, the green economy also needs to find ways to create jobs, localization, and of course, inclusive growth as a whole. But one thing that we have seen within the community, especially in terms of how they've driven circular fashion initiatives, is that profitability and sustainability can definitely live hand in hand. So to help us unpack this shift, this innovation, the collaboration and investments is Maluta Netshaulu, who is the Head of Social Impact Portfolio Development at Nedbank. Good day.
Hi, Kay. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us today.
No, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
So before we get into secular fashion and of course the green economy, but what exactly is the green economy?
Well, the green economy speaks to an economy that operates in harmony with nature.
Okay.
Right. It respects the environment, but is also very inclusive as well.
Okay.
It's one that is not extractive, that is not exclusive. It's one that is regenerative, inclusive, all those things from a natural perspective as well as from a social perspective. So when you look at it, it's about resilience and it's about profitability and it's also about sustainable livelihoods.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. It speaks to systems thinking. It speaks to how do we make sure that we live a good life but not compromising anything else. It doesn't promote too much of a capitalistic view of things.
Okay.
It wants, things to be in harmony, basically. That's what it is.
Okay.
In
So
simple terms, yeah.
The birds and the bees and the humans coming together.
Yes. If there's
Basically
kids watching, I think that will go very well for them. They'll understand it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about circular fashion, right?
Yeah.
And it's such an important part of our economy as the country. But this transition is also something we need to look at. So why is circular fashion such an important part in South Africa's transition in the economy, in the green economy transition?
No, it's important because as you can see in terms of these days, the way things are going, I mean, from mining to retail, there's fast fashion now,
Too much fast fashion.
and there's a lot of waste
Yeah.
that is being generated, Like from a food perspective, if we talk food, 45% of the food that is produced in the country is wasted along the value chain. 45%. Yet we've got the highest inequality and poverty rates in the country.
That's not a number I was
And if you
expecting.
look at textile waste, it's about, I think, 7.9 million tons. That's 79 billion kilograms of textile that end up at landfills.
A year?
A year.
Oh,
A year.
okay.
So those are the stats for you.
Oh, wow.
How bad it is.
Yeah.
And why we need to rethink in terms of how we consume, how we see as fashion, and how we go about life. Because what happens is that all these things are ending up there, but you and me are buying clothes every day. And new clothes come from virgin materials like
Yes.
cotton and polyester and all these other things. And what does it take to produce those things? It takes a lot of water. It takes a lot of resources, seeds, fertilizer, and it takes a lot out of the soil. There's a lot of costs involved, But if you are to use what's already in the system, all of a sudden, you're talking different things. You're talking about, from a carbon perspective, it's much less than having to do all those activities for you to get, a yarn, for example. So those are some of those things that we need to think about when you're looking at different systems in terms of what is the origin of the material and what is the impact in the environment, but it's also what is the impact from a societal perspective. Because sometimes when you're thinking of virgin materials and the cost of it, in order either you're importing or you are buying locally, some people can't afford that.
That's very
But
true.
when people now if you have to intercept, waste, textile waste, either from, if you're talking leather from the tannery, or if you're talking about fabric from the furniture manufacturer, or clothing from the retailers, those are things that we're going to throw away.
That's
Even
very
though,
true.
not to say there's no value, but they don't have use for them themselves.
Yeah.
But someone can be a treasure for them, and they can make high-end products. And we can talk
100%.
about that later, but we have done things like that.
So it can't just be a situation where you take and not give back from the source
Yeah, you can't. We can't keep doing that.
Yeah.
It's not sustainable.
at all.
No.
Yeah. So, with that being said, what really makes circular fashion economically viable rather than just environmentally desirable?
I think it speaks to what I was saying. Instead of someone going to buy, virgin material, like a textile, like a fabric, let's take a fabric. Instead of you going to somewhere where they sell them, I don't know where they sell these things.
Fabric shops.
Fabric shops. Of course.
Yes.
Yeah, you buy that thing, and it's not cheap, right?
It's
you need
not.
to buy it in like very long rolls and all those things. And then you have to go and process it, right? There's the cost to that. But if you are to go and, let's say you go to one of the big retailers, I don't want to mention them, they cannot be advertising here. Some of these big retailers, and you go to them and say, yeah, I would like to offtake, or no, don't you have waste, like even from the factories, where they were making a jacket, a t-shirt, jeans, whatever. Can I take that? They'll give you for free. They even give for free, out of season clothes. Do you know that? There's off-takers, and they get paid to do that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they get paid to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that can be done, in terms of that. Yeah. So you can imagine, let's say from that textile, now you use that to make your things. Now, instead of buying this thing at, say, 20 Rand,
Yeah. A meter. Yeah.
you get it for 0. Already your cost is down.
100%.
Now you just have to deal with labor, maybe with electricity if you've got a sewing machine. I'm talking about someone who's making actually the stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then the marketing and.
Yeah.
Already you are doing fine from a cost perspective than someone who's starting from
scratch. Okay.
So economically, it makes sense. It helps from a financial perspective.
Yeah.
Those businesses will be more, all things equal, of course.
Yeah.
Will be more profitable than the others.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like a mini ecosystem within within
Yes.
the green economy.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But you see, some people, they can, let's say someone, they bought the material, virgin material, the fabric.
Yes.
But then they can also be secular themselves,
Okay.
such that the offcuts, they can make other things. They are not fully secular because they are buying, right?
Yes.
They are buying virgin material
Yeah.
themselves. But let's say if they were taking a waste from someone else, and then they come in and they make that, and then even their own waste, they do something else. I know business like that.
Yeah.
Then that is full secularity.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. I
yeah.
like this now.
There's
I
also
understand
things
it.
around water. Because sometimes there's businesses that use a lot of water. It's about how do you make sure that, like a car wash.
Yeah.
You go to a car wash, a lot of water, they end up going
In the storm drain.
But there's fancy car washes these days that are able to harvest that water and use it again.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is circularity.
Sustainability.
Yeah,
and
in agriculture, guys will plant, let's say, spinach or cabbage or whatever. But the cabbage, is only the head.
Yes.
The leaves, I come from Venda, we eat everything. I was in KZN the other day telling this guy, he says he only takes that head.
Oh.
And then the outer,
What about the rest of the leaves?
they just leave them to rot. They put them back into the soil. It's fine.
Okay, well, biodegradable.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
fine. But that is still fine. Or sometimes the people, they will you make it, they will use it for composting. So it needs to rot and all that
Yeah.
and becomes compost. So that
Okay.
is also that whole circularity situation.
All right. So
Yeah.
giving us more examples away from
Away from fashion.
Away from fashion.
Yeah, we'll spice up the discussion.
I like it. I am enjoying this lesson today.
Yeah.
But let's also talk a little bit about small businesses, right? And how businesses within communities can truly drive innovation within circularity as well.
Yeah.
Because as you just mentioned, you've given us a couple of examples of what circularity does look like away from fashion, but also looking straight into fashion. What can I do as a small business owner?
I think you can do, from a green economy perspective, let's say you are someone into fashion, you make your own things, you are very much into fashion. You've got your own thing that you're doing at home.
Yeah.
In the township, let's say Soweto, Alexandra, wherever. So obviously there's things that you need. You need a sewing machine, you need a cutting thing like a studio, you need something digital, to help you with the designs and patterns and all those things. And you need electricity
as well.
Water, you might need and right? So what happens is that the guys will be buying the fabric, or if they are just operating in that alternative outside of the green economy, you'll be buying most of the stuff, right? But what we're seeing now is that guys, they will go and intercept. Like we've got guys, like we had this fashion show this year in Cape Town. If you don't know, it's called All Fashion.
Okay.
All Fashion Sourcing.
Okay.
We were part of it. They asked us to sponsor, and then we also exhibited alongside other big retailers.
All right.
And what we did there, we brought in our enterprises that we've been supporting through our incubation accelerators. And these guys, some were making furniture from, sustainable materials. Some were making leather product, high-end, equivalent in terms of quality to the big luxury brands.
Yeah.
Some were making clothes, some were making accessories. And these are guys that are coming from the townships, that are making these things. So these guys, what happens is that obviously they will need the skills. Like they might have they might have, because some people, they have that thing. They will learn. Maybe they went to some school that taught them that. But sometimes they need more than that in terms of how to run it as a business, how to bring in circularity into that model, that business of theirs, for them to be able to become resilient first and foremost.
Yes.
Imagine now, because most of the textile comes from China, right? We can't dispute that.
Bingo card.
They are.
Ask Donald Trump.
Way ahead. They are way ahead. You can't
100%.
compete. You can't
No,
compete.
we can't.
South Africa can't compete.
Yeah.
So the stuff will come from there. But what happens now is that, once the stuff comes in, it's about what do we do to actually become efficient in how we utilize the resource and actually use it for as long as we can.
As possible.
So that we can reduce the importation of this stuff into the country, which doesn't help us as a community. So they will do that, and then they will then use those materials to make high-end fashion. The problem with South Africans is that we look at brands that looks like a tick, some looks like sticks and whatever, and then we think that is quality.
And that's not always the case.
That is not always the case.
And then I think there's also perception that just because something is sustainable, it's not luxurious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we need to come out of that mindset where we can start to see these guys. And beyond that, from outside of localization, it's also about, obviously, it's quality. It's also about local job creation,
which is important,
and wealth creation.
Yes,
it's also about the stories as well. Now, I buy into stories as well. I probably from the torso upwards. I'm working my way down, like the whole body. But from the torso, upwards, it's usually South African.
Yeah,
right. Because the story, I want to know who made this. All this, like you see this top as well. It's South African. So the stories are quite important as well. So the more we do that, all of a sudden, these guys are making money. And these guys are starting to employ people and then the communities are benefiting. So when we talk about social justice, it's about how do we do that? But you need to do that through economic justice. What is economic justice? Is equal participation in the economy, economic activities by people. So we can't do that when already we still have mindsets of, quality equating to imports, quality equating to other things, which is not true. So we need to work on that. So that then also helps out from a psychological perspective in terms of when these guys are doing this work in the townships, when we're supporting them, when we're buying into the stories, when we're seeing them grow. The more they grow, the more they can do more, right? Means that all these ways, all of a sudden there will be a rush, it'll be like the gold rush. But for textile, people will be coming into your houses asking, hey, do you have clothes that you're not wearing?
Yeah.
They'll be going to these retailers and they'll be wanting to buy this thing, repurpose them and whatever. All of a sudden that 79 billion kilograms or 7.9 million tons of textile waste will not be a problem anymore.
That's very true. It's funny you talk about this because there was a clip that I saw on social media this one time, and this woman was explaining that if the world stopped producing fast fashion, we'd still have enough fashion to last us for at least another 100 to 150 years. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because look, even even me, now I've got clothes. I might be a problem. I need to, because with human beings. I used to be back then.
Yes.
It might be a function of economics or whatever. I used to be skinny. I used to be skinny here, and I still have clothes that I used to wear even 2-3 years ago. That I used to wear, and I love that clothes. But I still have them, but they don't fit me. But my hope and my optimism is that one day
you'll go back.
I will go back to that.
Or they'll come forward with you.
There's no such. They don't stretch. They're not skinny jeans.
Yeah.
No, it's not going to happen. So what needs to happen is that I need to let go. I need to let go of those clothes.
Yes.
And we've seen there's thrift shops.
I love
even
thrifting.
You think like First Days and whatever. That's what it's all about. In Cape Town, even in here in Joburg now, people are going to buy old clothes. Sometimes people don't even to repurpose them. As it is, this jacket, it might be fitting me, but I feel like I'm into another brand now. I don't like it. So people, they go buy that.
Yeah. At the fraction of the cost.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think it's a mindset thing. I think it might come, but yeah. Those guys like fast fashion, they're working very hard. They're working
But there's a lot of education that needs to happen around this, which is something that's happening right now within this conversation, right?
Yeah.
And something that you mentioned was equal participation in your last answer. And I want to get into the role of financial institutions and what the role they play in growing circular fashion as well. But also, most importantly, beyond just equal participation, equitable participation. Because equal and equitable are two different things.
True.
Yeah. So how do we level out the playing field for everybody?
I think if you are a financial institution and you also in development at the same time, like we're in development space as a social impact unit at Nedbank. What a space where we want, everyone to benefit, to have to access clean drinking water, sanitation, connectivity, health, and all those things. But like we said, they need to participate either from a jobs perspective or from an entrepreneurship perspective. So we're taking it from both ways: job creation and entrepreneurship. So on the entrepreneurship side of things, we've got incubation programs that takes someone, let's say, your ancestor visits you, you're sleeping. And they say, hey, we feel like there's this thing that you must do. It's in fashion or something. You must do this thing and you can go get the material from this place. And, this is what's going to bring generational wealth for this family of ours. You come to us. You can, Maluta, hey, go visited me. And she spoke. We take it from that idea that you have about that thing, and we work with you. Obviously, we must also see potential, right? Yeah, we must see potential. We work with guys that just got ideas, take them through design thinking. We prototype, we test the market, we fund.
Yeah.
We assist with market, we formalize the business, and then from there we carry on. with that. So we've got risk capital. Risk capital is capital that, it doesn't have a lot of rules. It's patient. It's flexible and all those things.
You can say yes to when
Yes.
someone comes through and
Yes.
says, this is my idea.
Yes. You don't have to leave your ID, your car,
Yes.
your family
Yeah.
with, So it's quite important. But outside of just funding, to fund, capital expenditure or equipment and all those other things, it always starts with skills. So
Yeah.
capacity building, skills development is very important. Even from understanding the different approaches and practices around green economy, circularity, or sustainability in a broad sense, it's quite important. It starts from education, then it goes to skills development. Those are skills you require to run the business. It's also about the mindset, being an entrepreneur. It's also about how do you run a business, how do you negotiate, how do you do risk management, how do you price, how do you do a cash flow, how do you deal with labor issues, things like that. And then how do you even perfect your craft if you're in a technical space like fashion?
Yeah.
Perfect it and get the right equipment and. So we do the whole spectrum from education to skills. And then for those that, for example, they're really like doing quite well and we can see the potential, then we start to fund those guys.
Okay.
With grant funding to start
Okay.
with. You need a machine, whatever. We can find grant funding for you, but it's not like we just give you because we like you.
No.
No. No one is going to give you money
There's
because
T's
you
and C's.
like. No. So it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
So it's about impact. If I give you, let's say, 500,000 rand, what are we going to get? Or what is society going to get in return? So it's impact based.
Yeah,
So I
paying
give you that
forward.
money because you're going to create, let's say, 5 jobs, permanent
Yeah.
jobs. And those people are going to get more than minimum wage. We hope it can be way more than minimum wage, right? And then there's going to be environmental impact because now, because you're applying the circularity, instead of you going to buy virgin materials, you're using, fashion waste. And instead of you always using clean water, maybe you are even harvesting water and you also have solar panel, things like that.
Yeah.
So we're impact based. So we'll fund you as long as you're going to provide social value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. So we are in conversation with Maluta Netshaulu, who is the head of social impact portfolio development at Nedbank, and we're looking at the circular green economy within the world of fashion. Yeah. So you gave me a small example in the fact that you, as Nedbank, you were sponsorship for a fashion show in Cape Town. What other examples can you share with us in terms of supporting the space?
Yeah, the other thing is around how do we, the biggest challenge with entrepreneurship, what you find, people always say funding. Yes, granted, it can be, a stumbling block. But the biggest one, even with funding, is my access to markets.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can have the money.
You can have the money and the tools and everything.
And
Rolls
everything.
Royce in terms of stuff.
But where's
right?
the Rolls Royce driving?
Yeah. Where are you going to sell?
Where are you going to sell
But
it?
what happens with access to markets, especially if you want to access big existing markets like corporates? There's suppliers in there that have been there from 19 fund whatever, right? A long time ago.
What?
Yeah, a long time. And it's very difficult for these guys to get out of the system because
Yeah.
they've proven themselves. They've got the tools. They've like even things that have to do with tech.
Yeah. and
To
you
buy
play
a
the
camera that, banks can hire you or corporate can hire you to come and shoot a video. 200,000 rand. Who's got 200,000? Like a small
For a new player.
entrepreneur. And you're like, where are you going to get it? But that's the spec they're looking
Yeah.
for. So you can imagine now if you're in fashion and you want to access that for, like, let's say corporate wear,
Yeah.
right? Corporate wear, corporate gifting, and things like that. You need a bank or a corporate that is very progressive in terms of their enterprise supplier development, procurement. You need a bank that is intentional about that. So some of the things that we do, we are able to introduce our enterprises to different areas in the bank in terms of facilities, in terms of corporate way, in terms of ED, in terms of gifting as well. And we've done it. We've got a lady from Cape Town that does upcycles like waste from furniture and them,
wow,
right? And retailers.
Yeah.
And she does this through empowering women that were previously that have been victims of GBV and all those things. She trains them and then she sets them up as
Giving them
a
a
business.
purpose.
Yeah. So she will get their stuff and then they will do their work and then they'll sell it as one brand. So we introduced her to our procurement, corporate way. So all of a sudden, because now there's like banks, especially in the frontline branches and all that, they wear uniforms, right?
Yes.
With Nedbank, very, very nice. But not all that, even the roles themselves that they use, they don't all get used. Even the finished products, they don't all get used.
Yeah.
So all that now is now going to that lady to repurpose into different things that can be sold. And then the other example is that from a corporate gifting perspective, when we've got events at the bank, we use mostly our beneficiaries, the enterprises, like Honey. We've got a project in Lusikisiki where the community is doing honey, like beekeeping.
Yeah.
So the honey from there, we use it for our corporate
Okay.
gifting. They're called Local Village. And then we've got another enterprise that we're funding through our Nedbank Indalo Fund. They're based, I think it's Balfour somewhere in the mountains. It's called Nick and Nick.
Okay.
They do nice, they're not leather because it's made out of the inner tire tube.
Okay.
They make it nicely. It looks like it's leather.
Okay.
So that they can make it very nicely and then you can do that for its corporate gifting. They can even write the branded Nedbank or whatever corporate. We've got a lady in KZN called Mabuto. She in villages, they're always
Yes.
slaughtering for whatever reason.
Yes.
It can be Mgidi, it can be whatever,
Just
all
for
these
the
other
sake
things.
of-
Yeah, but their hides.
Yes.
So
the
she
skins and all
used
of that.
the skins to be able to make a leather product. So people sell that skin that would have been just discarded to her. And she makes very premium leather products from that. And then we use that to also use it. We had a golf day last week and we did a like pricing for
Yes.
different categories
Yeah.
and some of the prizes were coming from her. We bought from her and then we provided that as prizes to our participants in the golf. Yeah.
No, that's definitely a full circle in terms
Yeah.
of making sure that there's impact within the community.
Yeah.
And then obviously when you have impact within the community, you can grow bit by bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So absolutely, I love everything that I just heard right now, which you also answered my next question. But let's get to the question after that one.
Yeah,
In
let's go.
terms of collaboration, because what I've also just heard is an overarching theme of collaboration.
Yeah.
So why is it so important for circular fashion to have collaboration and specifically in different sectors as well?
I think it's important. And this one could be much broader from government, like national, from a policy perspective, from an enabling environment perspective, to local government. You know, they've got their own things going and they do buy things as well. To corporates, retailers, the FMCGs and everyone. I think it is quite impactful when everyone recognizes that entrepreneurship is the future. I mean, 60% of jobs created in the country comes from SMEs, right?
Entrepreneurship.
Yeah, not from big corporates. Big corporates are always looking for ways to cut costs, and it's usually labor that's cut.
And every day when we walk on the street, there's someone who's an entrepreneur.
Yeah, exactly. So the more we support entrepreneurs, the better the economy grows, jobs get created, and then they're also the ones that are much more agile in terms of adoption of innovation and technology. And these practices that we're talking about, they're the ones, because they're still small, so they're able to adopt, work it around, unlike big corporate. It takes,
When
it's
you sit in
huge.
your ways.
It's used to do that, because now you were with someone who had this contract, right? If let's say it's corporate way, and they were doing it the way they've been doing for thousands of years, right? And now you're telling them they must change, but their machines, they are not built for that.
Yeah.
So what must happen? It becomes difficult. But if now you've got a small company, that's doing this, it's much easier. You can even fund that. As opposed to funding 100 million rand worth of equipment. Now you can fund like 100,000, 200,000, or even a million. It's not that bad. It's much easier because they are much more agile. So when we do that as corporate, and I've seen like other corporates doing it, where they are quite intentional in their procurement. They even I don't want to say force. They incentivize their existing supply chain, the people in the companies that they are using for different services, to bring in an SME to subcontract.
Okay.
And that person must gradually take more and more of the responsibilities. It's almost like succession.
Okay.
So that as time goes, when this one maybe is phased out, there's someone to take on.
Okay, so it's Kiangube Incorporated.
Yeah.
Subcontracting.
Yes.
KPTY.
Yeah. So obviously there's other things like, for example, like the old-fashioned thing.
Yeah.
It's quite important because there's like, you've got stuff from like mostly China that comes with their textile and whatever, all that stuff that are there in the same like CTICC, same trade show. Then you've got guys that are coming from Lesotho, Swaziland, everything into all under one roof. So when you're an entrepreneur there and you're in fashion, heaven.
I love that. So it's not just like a South African thing.
No,
it's
it's international. It's
thing.
International. Not South Africa. International.
International.
Yeah, it's
I love
global.
That.
Yeah.
We must trade amongst ourselves.
No, we have to.
We really do have to, just to make things a stronger economy as
well. So that's what we did. And when we did that thing, all our beneficiaries that we used, it was their first time doing a show. We even did a fashion. They even had their stuff on the runway for the first time, like catwalk.
Okay.
They're with models and stuff. Yeah. For the first time.
Did you guys give yourselves a round of applause for that?
We can do now.
Yeah.
We can do now. But we have.
But a little bit more,
we have.
know,
It was next level. I felt like I was in Paris or Europe.
Oh, that's beautiful.
But I was in Cape Town.
Yeah. Absolutely love that. So let's talk a little bit about shared value creation and where the biggest opportunities lie according to Maluta.
In fashion?
Yeah.
I think it's in different areas.
Okay.
I think it's in different areas. I think it's just a matter of like what we've been talking about. How do we support these entrepreneurs, like these people, especially young people, but very entrepreneurial? We don't want to be forcing ideas to them because they know what's going on. They know who their market is and who to approach and. They only support they require is funding and market access. That's it, right? So we need to be able to assist them to be able to do that, and we need to be quite intentional in terms of how we assist them. But I think there's things that, like for example, the IDC and them do, where they are even assisting, and the different governments, like local government, like I know the Eastern Cape does that quite well, where they even take their guys in fashion or in whatever sector, even abroad, to go and exhibit and showcase the work that they're doing to open up market access for them. So I don't think it's like one size fits all. There's different things that people do. We obviously we are funders. Like we're quite good at that, and also financial education is quite important. So it's being able to know your value add. What can I come in and then I can take this thing from A to B. And then the next person should be able to take it to the next level. And government knowing also the space they can play in that thing. And then an entrepreneur also then making sure that they are quite driven. And there's that whole thing, with entrepreneurs. There's a thing, man. That entitlement sometimes. You see that one?
Yes.
Say, I deserve it because I'm this, I'm that. When you don't even back it up with skills.
Yeah.
It's also about professionalism. It's also about humility and you not just wanting things in a selfish way because you feel like the world owes you something.
You must be a sponge.
Be a sponge. Be nice.
Oh,
be nice. Be grateful. And then like the world is your oyster.
I get it, Barry. So my view in life is that love is the greatest force that you have within you. Because when you move with love,
Yeah.
you're moving in the right direction,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
And then if you pair it up with gratitude, it opens up your abundance. And this is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
It's like what you basically
Yeah, exactly.
saying, that humility, love, passion, plus gratitude and,
Yeah.
and all of that,
Yeah.
you'll be opening up a huge world for yourself and just
It's
be the
true.
sponge.
It's true. And if you look at it, I think, yeah, that's profound. You must write a book. I feel like even the entrepreneurs that I have seen that have succeeded, that are succeeding,
Yeah.
they have that attitude.
Ah, I love that.
They are humble, they've got love, they've got gratitude. They just want to do more. They're about community.
Perfect segue into our next question in terms of the role of communities and of course the skills development and then
Yeah.
playing and building a circular fashion economy. What is their role?
Community are quite interesting. You know, there's like this microcosm of activities. There's everything there.
Yeah.
Right. They're like an ecosystem themselves. First of all, communities need to be quite open, right? Open to outsiders, especially people that are coming to assist, right? They need to be supportive of each other as well. So sometimes, you know, in some of the communities in which we operate, yeah, they can be quite difficult to work with. It becomes a problem. But those that do open up, you know, we see quite a lot of progress that unfolds because of that. So it's important that when you are dealing with communities, you understand. You also don't want to go in there thinking that you
You
with
know
this
the best.
savior mentality.
Oh yeah.
You know, you can't do that. They will take you to task. You know, people, they would rather stay poor than being taken advantage of, or someone,
yeah.
you know, coming to just bulldoze them with all these things. They want to be involved. So that's what we do, community engagement. You go there, understand different levels of in the hierarchy, the different people that are involved, the profile of the communities, the opportunities there, you know, who's doing what, and make sure that when these entrepreneurs are operating in that community, they also need to have that community mindset. You can't operate in a community and then you hire people from somewhere else. You're asking for trouble. You're asking for trouble. Eh? You must hire from the community.
But it also leads back to what you said. You need to make an impact within your community.
Yeah, you must make the impact from the community.
Yeah.
You see? So then it's also much easier from us to be able to measure that impact. Because when you come in, you do that baseline study, say, oh, this community has got 200 households, maybe 40% are not working. This is the age group. What is the access to health? What is the access to food? What's the access to water? And then when you've got this entrepreneur that's doing something, we're able to measure that. So because of this guy, all of a sudden, unemployment went down by 10%, you know? Because of 1, 2, 3, people are able to access better education, you know? So I think when it comes to community, we cannot operate in our world without buy-in from communities. And communities come different from, some are very traditional communities. Some come from a community in the sense of people that are supporting entrepreneurs. That's a community as well.
That is a big
That's a
community.
community. We've got enterprise support organizations that we group as a community of people that are helping entrepreneurs who are operating in communities.
Okay.
You see?
And then the world of this digital world.
Yeah.
Are we slowly yet surely moving there?
Yeah, I mean, we're in a podcast, right? So it's digital.
We are. And we're going to appear on a digital
Yeah, we'll
platform.
come a long way from radio.
Wow, what a jab.
So I think it's quite important because when it comes to fashion, people look at it as just someone who gets a fabric, who gets like something like a leather, a skin or something like that, and then they've got a sewing machine.
I've watched too much Project Runway to know that is not always the case.
That is not the case.
Yes.
When you go to these places, it's like a sci-fi movie there.
Yeah, people are making their
They've
own
got like big
taxes.
tables, like huge, right? And then they've got patterns, they've got all these things, they've got an embroidery machine there, they've got this computer.
They've created their own patterns.
Yeah, they create their own patterns.
Yeah.
So everything is precise.
Yeah.
And even the like even like they understand the fabrics in terms of they've got codes in terms of the thickness, the texture, everything. They need to be able to understand. That's their craft. So technology helps them to become efficient. It reduces waste. So if you've got like a fabric, let's say it's 2x3, whatever meters, right? For you to get the most out of that, which means more money, you need to know how to
Precise.
cut it
Yes.
with less waste.
Yes.
Only tech can help you with that. You can't do it by hand. It's technology that helps you with that.
But how do we not leave people behind?
Well, I think it's about being able to assist them with that technology. As
Okay.
technology is coming, sometimes the entrepreneurs will know what they need. Sometimes they might know. So we need to bridge that divide of what they know, what they don't know, and then also what we don't know and what they know, and say, okay, let's come together, and then let's help you become the most optimal, most efficient, most profitable, most resilient, because when you're talking entrepreneurship, there's tech. You're talking digital in the sense of, before I get to that, there's also blockchain, right? Traceability. When you've done something, you've done a product, you've produced a product, for us to be able to trace it back all the way. If something's going to go to a big retailer and then you just have a shelf or a rack, right? And then you've got other 1,000 more brands. We need to be able to trace it back to where it came from, the location. So blockchain technology can help you with that.
With that.
You see. But there's also other innovations out there that can also assist. But there's a lot. Yeah.
What are you excited about in terms of secular fashion?
Ooh, I'm excited.
What are you
I am
excited about?
No, I'm not the most fashionable, right? I'm not.
But you know a lot.
Obvious. I know a lot. I know a lot.
Yes.
It's passion. It's passion. So I've got this vision that we need to get to a space where, in order to make this a movement, it needs to be a movement where secularity practices are adopted, right, by these fashion designers and manufacturers and all these guys. But to scale it, for it to be sustainable and to scale, they require a loyal client base, and it starts with us. Charity begins at home, right? So we need to be the ones that start to make that switch from these ticks and these sticks and these animals, to local fashion. We need to be able to do that. You must. I think if people are being judged, right, for not wearing local stuff, I think that's good, right? Yeah, you must feel embarrassed actually. You must feel embarrassed for not wearing local fashion.
Yeah.
We must get to that space
Where we all wearing South African clothing.
Yeah.
From your high-end luxury to
to
fast
day to day
fashion, if you want to put it like that.
No fast fashion. Not fast fashion.
But you get
normal
what I'm
wear.
saying.
Normal wear.
Normal wear.
But locally produced.
Yeah.
And you know who made it, how they made it, and what is their journey? What has their journey been? For me, that is my vision.
Is that your vision?
What excites me. And that's something that I'm working on.
Okay.
Right? Something, if we can get that right. And we already have big local brands already.
We have huge local brands.
Huge local brands.
They're not even local, they're global.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we just need to make sure that this pipeline of young talent, which are very much climate conscious, which is a good thing. But there's also a movement in terms of, if we go back from a sustainability perspective and security perspective, the other thing that's sort of pushing also this whole thing around circularity is also this climate and sustainability conscious consumers.
Yeah.
That want to know if there was no animal that was slaughtered to make this jacket, or there was no tree, there was no cow, there was things like that. They want to know that there was no
There's
land.
nothing harmed.
There was nothing harmed. There's people that are into that, and that thing is picking up. So I think there's that demand and supply push thing that's sort of almost converging into a space where very soon, I'm hoping within the next 10 years, we must start to see that more people actually, you've seen with like shoes brands, local brands, that's going on. So I think we're getting there.
Maluta, do you know what it really sounds like to me? It's just that like back in the day, they used, I'm gonna take this to like a food perspective, because that's where I studied. That's where I got my qualification.
I'm an agricultural economist, by the way.
Yeah.
So agriculture.
Yeah. So with food, they say you use each and every single bit of the animal.
Yeah,
you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it kind of sounds like that in the world of secular fashion, is that you use each and every single bit of the fabric. Let me put it in that sense.
Yeah.
And with that being said, you create this ecosystem that makes impact, creates sustainability, creates jobs, and then impact within the community, which grows bigger and bigger and bigger.
No, that's true. I think we underpin that is make sure that these fashion designers, these fashion people are business people in their own right. They need to understand the business principle. Otherwise, this is not going to fly. Because you find, someone is making money, get their first million, and then they go buy a boat, or they go buy a house with that money,
Yeah.
So we can't do that. So we need to make sure we need to be quite, I think, I don't want to say strict, but we need to be intentional. We need to be able to support them, for them to understand and to understand the bigger vision, collective vision of the country and the continent, that we need them to succeed and we need them to be business people.
I like that.
And when it gets to that, as business people, this thing's gonna take off. That's when scale.
So we definitely need each other, creatives and the business-minded individuals, to make sure that everything works out the way it needs to work out.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
It was a pleasure.
This has been an insightful conversation. I've learned quite a bit, quite a lot.
Yeah, same.
And I trust that our viewer has also learned quite a bit in terms of this, in terms of making circular fashion more involved in the world of the green economy. So do make sure that you are part of this movement, you are part of this shift of innovation, but of course sustainability as well. Kiangube is the name. Thank you so much for joining us. Maluta Netshaulu, the head of impact of social development portfolio impact at Nedbank. Yeah, did I say that right?
Yes, Maluta Netshaulu, head of social impact portfolio development. Thank you so much for having me. And if you want to reach out, reach out.
You heard him. Reach out.
LinkedIn and all that.
Kiangube is the name. Please do make sure that you keep yourself and others safe.